Look at these hands. All of them seem to belong to wealthy people. But it's just an illusion. Your first case is to figure out which person is indeed rich. Have you noticed the brand names on the accessories on the left and the right hands are misspelled? These luxury items must be fake. As for the hand in the middle, it's decorated with a real gold bracelet. It most likely belongs to a rich person. Now, look at these travelers and their bags very attentively. Can you spot a smuggler? Why would a blind person need a flashlight in his luggage? That's suspicious. He must be the criminal we're looking for. Which of these people is poor? Pay attention to the guy with an iPhone. The apple on the back is whole, which means the phone is fake. How about these people? Who is richer? The man on the left looks like a rich businessman, but he might be pretending. At the same time, the guy with green hair looks very casual. But he's holding a brand new laptop and expensive headphones. He's likely to be richer. Can you figure out which of these athletes is poor? It must be the blonde guy who's wearing a fake Adidas shirt. Or should I say, a Bebas. You wake up in a room with 3 doors. Suddenly, someone starts knocking on each of them. You come up to each door in turn and sneak a peek through the peephole. Behind each door, there's a police officer. Do you know which door is safe to open? You can open the 3rd door without any worries. The first man doesn't show his badge and has a knife tucked under his belt. The second man has weird stars on his uniform. As for the 3rd police officer, he is the only one with identical stars on his hat and badge without any hidden weapon. He's your safest option. These people look homeless, but one of them isn't poor. Who is it? Look at the guy with a cart. He's got car keys. Now this task is tough. Which of these ladies doesn't have a lot of money? Think twice before answering. The lady in pink buys only those clothes that are on sale. She might be poor. Doris was having a beach vacation with her friend Teresa. One morning, the young women were sunbathing near the water. Teresa went to a cafe to get some lemonade while Doris went swimming. When she came back, she saw that her smartphone, which she had left on her beach towel, was gone. She asked a man sunbathing nearby if he had seen her smartphone. He answered that he'd been sleeping the whole time. At this moment, Teresa came back with the lemonade. She looked around and immediately understood where Doris's phone was. Who took it? It was the neighbor. Before the accident, the spade was lying on his left. Now it's on the right. There's also a suspicious pile of sand near the spade now. The man must have hidden the phone in the sand, hoping to dig it out later. Look at these guys attentively. One of them is not living alone. Who is it? The man on the right. He's got 2 toothbrushes. Joe had a friend, Randy, who never answered questions directly. Once, Joe sent Randy a message inviting him to join their common friends in a cafe. Randy's answer was kinda weird. Sorry, no money, job and job. Luckily, Joe knew his friend well enough to understand what he meant. But can you figure it out? Randy meant he had no money because he was in between jobs. Terry invited his friend Alice, who was studying to become a police officer, to a party. It was organized by his friend Sean. Terry was worried that there could be a thief at this party. Throughout the event, Alice was watching the guests attentively. At the end of the party, she told Terry who the thief was. Have you figured it out? It's the host, Sean. At the beginning of the party, one of the guests had a watch on his wrist, and this woman had a beautiful necklace. But at the end of the party, the watch was already on Sean's wrist, and the necklace was in the flower pot. The police were informed that one of the most wanted criminals, Carl Walker, was going to arrive in the country. According to this information, the man was going to come by plane. Unfortunately, the police knew very little about him. He was short, wearing glasses, and traveling under a false name. Detective Adams went to the airport. He detained 4 people who fit the description. They were Mr. Lewis, Mr. Relkoff, Mr. Taylor, and Mr. Wilson. Can you figure out who the criminal is? It's Mr. Relkoff. His last name is actually the criminal's last name, Walker, but with its letters mixed. Austin, a rich businessman, brought very important documents to his office. But he had a meeting and needed to leave for several hours. Austin asked his secretary to be super attentive. His competitors could try to break into his office to look at the documents. When he came back, his secretary told him everything had been quiet. But when the man looked around, he realized someone had been inside his office. The secretary eventually admitted having fallen asleep while Austin was away. How did the businessman understand someone had visited his office? The globe on his desk is now turned in the opposite direction. You're trapped in a room with no doors or windows. All of a sudden, the room starts filling with water. You check everywhere but can't find any way to turn it off. You know that help is on the way, but it's still at least 5 minutes until their arrival. You only have 2 minutes. After that, the entire room will be flooded. Obviously, you can't hold your breath for 3 minutes. You've got 3 objects, but only one of them can save your life. What should you choose? A straw, a rope, or an empty bucket? You should opt for the bucket. Put it on your head. This will create an air pocket, and you'll be able to breathe for a couple of minutes until help arrives. Carter had a fast and successfully developing company until his main investor went bankrupt. Upset, Carter went to visit his best friend Justin, who was a coffee shop owner. Justin told him that a rich businessman visited his cafe almost every day. He was there that day too. The man was very secretive and didn't have any social media accounts. Justin told Carter to go and introduce himself and pointed towards the back of the coffee shop. The guy went there and saw 3 men, but he didn't ask his friend which one was the wealthy entrepreneur. He looked at the men attentively. Can you figure out which one he needs? It isn't the guy in the middle. He has a dollar store bag. The one on the right could be rich, but he's recording an Instagram story. And the businessman isn't active on any social media. This means the man Carter needs is on the left. 3 friends agreed to hang out together on a Friday night. One of them, Brian, was tasked with bringing pizza. But the guy was running extremely late. His friends were starving. Strangely, Brian wasn't picking up their calls. But in an hour or so, he sent them a selfie. In the photo, he was standing next to his car. In the following message, he wrote he had run out of gas. He was at a gas station filling up his car. But his friends didn't believe Brian's excuses. Why? In the picture, it's clearly seen that the guy has an electric car. It doesn't need gas.
Once, a prison guard accidentally overheard very disturbing rumors. Someone was planning a prison break. The guard watched all the footage from the surveillance cameras and discovered that 2 women had been behaving suspiciously. One of them was a former bodybuilder, muscular, with short hair and covered in tattoos. The other was quiet and reserved. She preferred to spend time on her own and sometimes cried in her cell. After watching the video several times, the guard figured out which woman was planning to escape. Can you do the same? It's the second prisoner. There's a file in her bun. She can use it to get through the metal bars. Mark comes up to the table. There are 3 apples, but only one of them is safe to eat. The other 2 are poisonous. Unfortunately, Mark can't skip breakfast. So, which apple should he eat? Look, this apple has a caterpillar in it. It means there's no poison in the fruit and it's safe to eat. These 3 women, Jessica, Mary, and Olivia, went shopping. 2 of them are pregnant and one is just trying to steal a watermelon. Can you tell which one is hiding a watermelon? It's Olivia. She's wearing heels. It's not the kind of shoes a pregnant woman would choose to wear. Nathan, a successful entrepreneur with a multi-million-dollar business, and his friend Jackson, a famous private detective, returned from a long-term trip abroad. They decided to stop by at Nathan's villa on the way to the city. When the men entered the house, though, they saw that everything more or less valuable had been taken away. The entire villa was a mess. "I've only been away for a month. What happened here?" exclaimed Nathan. Jackson took an apple from the dining room table and started to munch on it thoroughly. "The lock isn't broken. It means the person who took your stuff had the key." After a while, the detective asked Nathan to invite 3 people. Mia, Nathan's niece, told Jackson she hadn't visited her uncle's home. She had been having serious problems with her car for already 2 months. And the villa was too far away from the city to get there by public transport. Sarah, the maid, claimed that she had stopped by several weeks ago to bring some food and tidy up. But since then, she hadn't been to the villa. Adam, the gardener, told the detective he had been on vacation and had just returned. He even offered to show his plane tickets to Jackson. The detective figured out immediately who was behind the mess. You have 8 seconds to figure it out. It was the maid. She said she brought food several weeks ago, but the apple Jackson grabbed from the table was perfectly fresh. Once, Ms. White heard someone crying. It was her little student, Abigail. The girl told the teacher her cookies had been disappearing from her locker. Someone had been taking them for already several weeks, but Abigail didn't know who. Ms. White decided to help the girl. They equipped the locker with a simple alarm that had to go off if someone who wasn't Abigail opened the door. They hid behind the corner and began waiting. In 10 minutes, they heard the alarm. When they reached the locker, it was already empty and there was no one nearby. But Ms. White noticed somebody disappear behind the art room door. She rushed inside, but everything looked normal. And still, the teacher needed no more than a minute to understand who'd been eating Abigail's cookies. Look at the picture of the art room carefully. Can you find out the answer within 8 seconds? It's the girl on the left. Her painting's black and white, but there are only various shades of blue on her palette. And maybe the cookie crumbs are a giveaway too. I don't know. One perfume company hires new staff. They must swear an oath of loyalty to the company if they want to get a job. 10 people are saying the words of the corporate oath simultaneously, but some of them are cheating. Help the directors figure out who these people are. This guy keeps his fingers crossed, and the man on the left is standing with his legs crossed. They won't be loyal to the company, so the director doesn't hire them. 2 influential media moguls are having lunch at an expensive restaurant. They're discussing the merger of their companies. The transaction amount is several $billion. They're whispering since the terms of this deal are top secret, and they suspect that someone can hear them. And they're right. Some curious people are eavesdropping on the conversation between the 2 businessmen. Try to find them. The girl at the next table is reading a newspaper that is turned upside down. She's obviously trying to overhear what the billionaires are talking about. This guy over there is listening to music, but the headphone wire is not connected to anything. Another girl is sitting at the table in the corner with a cocktail, but instead of an umbrella, there's an antenna in her glass. She's recording the conversation. "Where are my employees?" a boss shouts. He's furious because 3 people haven't come to the office. He calls each of them to find out the reason. All 3 tell him they got ill. The boss doesn't believe them, so they have to arrive at the office. Mary is wearing a warm jacket, hat, and scarf. She sneezes, coughs, and looks sick. Lori is walking on crutches. Her leg is in a cast. Sometime later, Michael appears. He's got a hand injury, and now he can't type. The boss is sure that one of them is faking. Who is it? Mike's left arm is broken, but his phone is in his left pocket. He must have used his broken arm to put it there, which means he's pretending. Apparently, he just didn't want to come to work. Ice will melt if you heat it, but if you heat me, I'll become solid. What am I? I'm an egg. You buy this thing to eat, but you never eat it. What is it? It's a plate. Mia was going back home one evening. It was 11 p.m., and she had to cross a small dark park in front of her house. Suddenly, she heard footsteps behind. Someone grabbed her bag and ran away. The girl called the police, and they questioned 4 suspects. Jack said, "I was choosing an outfit for a party." Camilla was getting ready for her final exam at home. Andrew told the police he had been watching birds in the park. Nora was at her yoga class. After the interview, the police understood who was behind the robbery. Can you? It was Andrew. At 11 p.m., it's too dark to see birds. James left a folder with important documents on the table in his home office and went to a business meeting. When he returned, he found out that the documents had disappeared. James had 3 suspects. His brother said, "I've been swimming in the pool since you left. I haven't seen or heard anything." The cook replied, "Tomorrow we're having a party. I've been preparing the food." The security guard told James, "I've been outside all this time, checking the garden for mice. Who knows where the documents are?" It's the security guard. His job description doesn't include pest control. An accident happened at a busy crossroads in a small town. A driver who caused the crash left in a hurry. Luckily, several witnesses managed to describe the car. A police officer headed to the suspect's house. There, he saw a car that looked exactly like the one from the description, but its owner claimed that he had spent all day at home. The police officer knew the suspect was lying in no time. How? He touched the car hood. It was still hot from the engine that had worked not so long ago. You're walking along a railroad track. Suddenly, you see a speedy train approaching you. Instead of getting off the track immediately, you run toward the train. Why do you risk your life this way? When you notice the train, you're on a bridge. You can't leave the track right away and have to run to the closest place where you can do it.
Sheila participates in a beauty pageant. The next catwalk will take place in 30 minutes. Sheila leaves her stuff in the dressing room and goes outside to talk on the phone. After that, she returns and sees that someone has torn her costume. Sheila gets furious and questions her rivals. Millie says, "I was getting my makeup done, so I sat in my chair motionless, and I couldn't look around." Chelsea says, "I was in a toilet. I think I ate something wrong for lunch." And Isabella says, "I was outside the dressing room filming stories for my subscribers." Who is lying? Millie. She said she got her makeup done, but why did she ruin it by putting on a face mask? Sheila goes to the storage room to find a new dress. Suddenly, the door slams shut behind her.
Oh no!
She needs to enter an 8-letter password to open the door. Sheila needs to be on the stage in 5 minutes. Can you help her crack the code? This picture on the wall is a hint. Sheila needs to enter paradise. Sheila opens the door and meets face-to-face with creepy rats. She runs away and gets lost in the basement. Sheila finds these 3 doors leading to the stage, but each door is hiding some danger. There are broken wires and a puddle of water on the floor behind the first door. There's a scorpion behind the second door waiting to bite Sheila. And there's a magical portal leading to the top of a mountain behind the third door. Can you help Sheila make the right choice? She should choose the first door. There's enough space. Sheila can crawl underneath the wires. Sheila enters the stage and spots 3 weird details in the auditorium. Can you see them too? Take a closer look at this lady. She's holding a book upside down. This musician is playing the violin without any strings. Also, there's a panda among the viewers. Sheila becomes a beauty queen. She gets a diamond tiara and a paycheck. She goes backstage, but suddenly, all lights in the building go out for a few seconds. When the lights turn on again,
Oh, no.
Sheila sees that someone has stolen her tiara. She questions 3 rivals. Zoe says, "I don't want your cheap tiara. My dad is a billionaire." Jasmine says, "Someone pushed me in the dark and scratched my dress." Rachel says, "You must have dropped it on the floor. Look better." Who stole the tiara? Zoe. It's hidden under her diamond necklace. The next day, Sheila wakes up in a creepy castle. A wicked witch turned her into a monkey. To break the black magic, Sheila needs to use a spell. But the spell book is locked in a box. The lock requires a 6-digit code. Can you help her open the box? There are exactly 6 candles on the shelf above the box. It's a hint. Each candle has a particular number of dots, so the code is 24361. There are 4 big houses in Sheila's neighborhood. All 4 are standing in one row, and they have different colors: red, green, white, and blue. Mrs. Jones's house is somewhere to the left of the green house. The third house in the row is white. Mrs. Snake owns a red house, and Mrs. Crystal doesn't live at either end of the row, but she lives somewhere to the right of the blue house. Meanwhile, Mrs. Dillon lives in the 4th house. And the first house isn't red. Can you decide who lives where and what the color of each person's house is? From the clues, we know that the first and the third houses can't be red. Mrs. Dillon lives in the 4th house. Therefore, Mrs. Snake, who owns the red house, can only live in the 2nd. Since Mrs. Crystal doesn't live at either end, she must live in the 3rd house, which is white. Mrs. Jones's house is somewhere to the left of the greenhouse, which means that Mrs. Dillon lives in the 4th house. As for Mrs. Jones, she lives in the 1st house, and it's blue. Can you spot a fake teacher? The guy on the left isn't a real teacher, he's an actor. Take a closer look. There's a rec camera icon at the top of the screen. 2 friends want to cross a river. The only way to get to the other side is by boat. But this boat can only take 1 person at a time. The boat cannot return on its own, and there are no ropes or any other similar tricks. Yet both guys managed to cross the river using the boat. How is that possible? The guys started on the opposite banks of the river. Josh and Bob are twins. Josh lives with his wife, and Bob lives alone. Can you guess which one is Josh? It's the first guy. He has a pair of toothbrushes in his bathroom, while Bob only has 1. A time traveler is attending this party. Can you spot this person? This lady's shoes look too old-fashioned. Chuck enters a spooky building where he's supposed to have a job interview. Suddenly, someone locks the door, and now Chuck is trapped. He wanders around for a while and sees these 4 doors. He also finds a note. Only door 3 is leading to the job interview. The remaining doors will take you to the black hole. Good luck. Can you help Chuck choose the right door? No need for luck, Chuck. The symbols on the door are actually numbers. So, Chuck should enter this door. I talk to you, you talk to me. Every day, you hold me. Yet, I can't smell you. What am I? I'm your mobile phone. A gentleman and a lady are talking. The person with black hair says, I'm a gentleman. The person with blonde hair says, I'm a lady. At least one of them lied. Can you guess the hair color of each person? If only one of them lied, they would both be gentlemen or both be ladies. Therefore, they both lied. It means that the lady has black hair and the gentleman is blonde. Can you spot what's wrong in this picture? There's no milk in the jug. Can you see anything odd in this picture? The image in the mirror is not reflected. Can you spot a vampire? This guy over here. Fiona is a young witch. She finds these 4 portals in a haunted castle. Fiona chooses one of the portals and enters. You can hear city noises from the first portal. You can hear sea waves from the second portal. You can hear leaves rustling from the third portal. And bells are ringing from the fourth. Which portal did Fiona enter? Fiona's dirty footprints on the floor are leading to the third portal. Don't mind the different sounds, this could just be a magic trick. Billy finds himself on the roof of a skyscraper that is about to crumble. The only way out is to use one of these 4 elevators. There's a werewolf hiding behind the first elevator. If Billy chooses the second elevator, he'll fall hundreds of feet. Super venomous snakes are crawling all over the third elevator. And mutated scorpions are waiting for Billy inside the fourth elevator. Just one bite will make him fall asleep forever. Which way should Billy choose? The first one. Take a look at the sky. The moon is not full, so the werewolf is harmless. Rachel meets 3 of her former school friends in the parking lot. All 3 want to impress Rachel, so they begin to discuss their new cars. Melanie says, "I wanted my car to be one of a kind, so I bought this one." Peter says, "Since I'm a beginner, I purchased the cheapest used car." And finally, Samantha says, "I bought a large car because I have a big family." Rachel spots a liar right away. What about you? It's Samantha. Her car key doesn't match the logo on the car. Sally, Molly, and Shelley are best friends. Only one of them is a mother. Can you guess who? Sally keeps diapers for newborns in the bathroom, so she's a mother. Sally, Molly, Shelley, and their friend Eric go for a walk late at night. They need to cross a bridge that will be lifted in 11 minutes. It will take Sally 3 minutes to cross it. Molly needs 4 minutes, Shelley 1 minute, and Eric 2 minutes. The bridge can only hold 2 people at a time, and the guys only have 1 lantern. So whoever crosses the bridge, someone has to go back to give the lantern to the others. What should they do? Eric and Shelley should go together first. It will take them 2 minutes to cross the bridge. Then, Shelley will spend a minute going back and passing the lantern. Then, Molly and Sally will cross the bridge. This will take 4 minutes. Then, Eric should go back with the lantern, which will take 2 minutes. And finally, Eric and Shelley will cross the bridge. The total time will be exactly 11 minutes. Eric lives on a farm and grows fruits. He's very angry because someone stole the largest watermelon from his garden the other night. Eric suspects one of his neighbors, so he decides to question them. Peter says, "Come on, Eric. Everybody knows that my fruits are way better than yours." Maya says, "I live alone and I'm allergic to fruits, so why would I steal your watermelons?" And Mike says, I couldn't steal it even if I wanted to. I broke my right arm last week. Who's lying? Maya. Take a look at her blender. She's making a smoothie with banana and kiwi. Therefore, she lied about her allergy. Eric goes to his favorite restaurant and spots one odd detail right away. Can you see it too? The lady on the right is trying to eat soup with a fork. After lunch, Eric decides to visit the local historical museum to see an exhibition of rare, fancy shoes. Oh no! Someone stole the most precious pair that belonged to a queen. The museum guard studies the crime scene. He's confused because the thief left no clues. Numerous guests visited this exhibition on the day of the robbery. The guard decides to examine the footage of that day and finds the thief pretty quickly. Can you also spot a thief among these people? Something about this lady is very suspicious. She became taller in the second image. That's because she's wearing the stolen shoes. Eric leaves the museum and finds out that someone has stolen his car and crashed into a tree. He questions 3 suspects. Bella says, "I've just arrived at a business meeting, but I noticed your broken car and came closer to offer help." Lily says, "It wasn't me, but I think I saw someone running out of your car. He was wearing a hoodie." And Bill says, "My dog ran away this morning. I was just wandering around the block trying to find him." Who stole the car? Bella's watch is cracked, so she probably broke it in the accident. The next morning, Eric wakes up and finds himself in the middle of an enchanted beach. There are 3 possible routes to a portal that will bring him back to his town. The first passage is on fire. Creepy snakes are crawling all over the second road, and the third road is covered with hot lava. Which way is more or less safe? Both fire and lava can burn him badly, but the snakes won't attack unless he provokes them. Eric enters the portal, but instead of returning home, he goes to prison. Eric spends a month in jail planning to escape. During this period, he dug a tunnel and packed a bunch of food to eat. This is it. He's running through the tunnel, but at the end of it, he faces 3 doors. The most strict and strong guard is hiding behind the first door. There's a hungry vampire behind the second door. He bites anyone who dares to enter. And there's an angry dog behind the third door. Just like the vampire, it likes to bite the prisoners. Can you help Eric choose the best option? The third door. Eric has a lot of food. He can use it to distract the dog and escape. Finally, Eric is home and he can change. Eric has 53 socks in his drawer, 21 blue, 15 black, and 17 red. Suddenly, the lights are out and he's completely in the dark. How many socks must Eric take out to be 100% certain he has at least 1 pair of black socks? Let's consider a pessimistic scenario in which Eric pulls out only red and blue socks until they run out completely. He'll need to pull out 38 socks in total before he can even start pulling out the desired color. Therefore, we should add 2 more socks to the 38 figure to make sure Eric has at least 1 black pair. So the answer is 40 socks. The next morning, Eric goes for a walk in the park. Suddenly, a stranger grabs his phone and hurries away. Eric finds a police officer and describes the robber. He was wearing a coat, a hat, and a pair of glasses. He also had a mustache. The officer runs in the direction that Eric shows him. A bit further, he finds a hat, a coat, and glasses lying on the ground. He decides to search the local cafe. There are 4 visitors inside. One of them is the thief. Can you spot who? It's the guy on the right. He has a small wound on his upper lip. He must have gotten rid of his fake mustache in a hurry. Eric enters a coffee shop and buys a double cappuccino. He puts his cup on a table and leaves for a moment to wash his hands. Then Eric comes back and finds out that his coffee is missing. He decides to question 3 people nearby. Oliver says, "I was scrolling my feed, so I didn't look around. As for me, I can't drink cappuccino. I'm lactose intolerant." Nina says, "I also ordered 1 cappuccino, so this cup is mine. I can show you the receipt if you don't believe me." Sheila says, "I haven't been drinking coffee for 5 years because it makes me very anxious. Why would I steal your beverage?" After hearing what they had to say, Eric knows for sure who's a liar. What about you? There's a slice of cheese in Oliver's sandwich, but it can be vegan. Nina took a smaller cappuccino, so this cup can't belong to Eric. Meanwhile, Sheila is holding a can of cold coffee beverage. Therefore, her story is fake. Eric and his friend Shelley are meeting for coffee. She's very excited because she has a secret crush. Eric begs for his name, but Shelley is too shy, so she just writes the following code on a piece of paper. Can you figure out the name of her crush? The numbers imply 3 months: December, August, and November. If we take the first letters of each month, we'll get the name Dan. Shelley's birthday is approaching. Eric decides to save some money for a gift. On the first day of the month, he puts $1 in his piggy bank. On the second, he puts in $2. On the third day, $3, and so on. Yay! Shelley's birthday has finally arrived. And Eric has saved a total of $276 in his piggy bank. Can you guess the exact day of the month when Shelley was born? Shelley's birthday is on the 23rd day of the month. The easiest way to crack this riddle without engaging in any formula would be to simply add the numbers until we get 276. It will happen on the 23rd day. Eric gives Shelley her birthday gift and shakes her hand. Can you spot any mistakes in this picture? People tend to spot a wedding ring on the wrong finger, but it can be just a casual ring. But take a closer look at her watch. The majority of wristwatches have a crown on the right side, so here's the mistake. Sammy was visiting her grandmother during Halloween. When her grandmother went to get groceries for their Halloween dinner, Sammy started hearing strange noises from the attic. He got curious and wanted to find out what was making them, so he climbed there. He noticed that a big wooden box was glowing. He went to open it, but it was locked. Luckily, his grandmother was a bit forgetful, so she left some clues around the room. Can you help Sammy figure out the digit passcode? Take a look at these books stacked next to the box. Did you notice that these 4 books have numbers instead of titles on their covers? Those must be the numbers he needs to open the box. So the passcode is 4203. After Sammy opened the box, he started hearing the whispers again. They were coming from the strange book that was in the box. The book was saying, "Open me, but to do that, you need to answer the riddle on my cover. In the sun, I dance and play, but in the dark, I fade away. I'm not alive, yet always near. What am I? Can you tell me, dear?" The answer is a shadow. As soon as Sammy opened the book, it magically teleported him to a dark forest. He started panicking and running around frantically. That's when he spotted an owl sitting on a branch. The owl said, "Lost friend, I can help you find your way out of this labyrinth of trees, but first, you have to hear my riddle. I'm not alive, but I can reflect your fear. Look into me, and I'll always be near. What am I must be crystal clear." Do you know the answer? It's a mirror. The owl guided Sammy to a wizard's cottage. Then, Sammy explained his situation to the wizard and convinced him to help. There was only one spell that could send Sammy back to his world, and it was in a magic book that was stolen from an evil witch. So, the book was not revealing its secrets to the wizard. There was a riddle at the back of the spell book, and it said, "Speak what belongs to you but is used more by the others, and I shall reveal my secrets." Do you know what that is? It's your name. The Monster Hunters Agency was suspicious that a witch had crossed into our world from the supernatural realm. After following the magic trail the witch left behind, they got suspicious of 3 people. So they placed hidden cameras in their rooms and started observing them sleeping to figure out who the witch was. Can you help them? Okay, each of these people has something in their rooms that indicates they might be a witch. But take a look at the broom inside the First Lady's bed. But first of all, it's made of plastic. And it also has a label on it, which means it was bought from the store. The Third Lady is wearing a glowing amulet. I admit it looks mysterious, but it's just a toy. So the witch is the lady with the pointed hat peeking out from underneath her pillow. And if that doesn't convince you, her black cat sleeping on the other side of the bed will. Amy's town had an old museum that the residents believed to be haunted. Amy and her friends decided to spend the Halloween night inside the museum to have some spooky fun. When the clock struck midnight, all the portraits hanging on the museum walls came to life. Then a portrait of a lady started screaming for some help. She told Amy that the former employees dared to make a fake version of her portrait, and she wanted Amy to destroy it. But once Amy saw the fake portrait, she spotted 3 differences from the original and assured the lady that it couldn't hold a candle to the original. Can you spot them too? The pendant on the lady's neck, her lipstick color, and the ribbon on her hair are different from the original painting. The spooky traveling circus company was going to visit Evelyn's town to put on a Halloween show, and she really wanted to go. But they were only offering a few tickets to the people who could answer their riddle correctly. With fur as dark as the midnight sky, it's often seen as an omen. Oh my! In superstitions, it takes its place. A witch's companion with mystery and grace. Can you tell what this is? The answer is a black cat. The circus company required all the audience members to come to the show dressed in costumes. So Evelyn headed to the shopping mall to get herself a costume. She found 3 options to choose from: a witch costume, a mermaid costume, and a Victorian-era vampire costume. Which one should she pick? Take a look at the back of the witch costume. It says it's made out of paper, so it'll not be a good idea to wear that. And the mermaid costume is all teared up at the back. So she should choose the Victorian-era vampire costume. It may look bloody, but it sure fits the theme. It was finally Halloween, aka the day of the show. Evelyn headed to the circus tent to wait in line to enter the venue. But 3 strange things among the people caught her eye. Can you spot what they are? Look at this guy waiting in the line. His feet are not touching the ground. He's floating. Evelyn also saw her friend Edward waiting in line. As they started waiting together, she learned that Edward's ticket was from the first row, and they wouldn't be sitting next to each other. When the circus manager overheard them talking, he suggested that he might be able to change Evelyn's seat. Then he brought 3 chests, put the new ticket into one, and told Evelyn to follow it. If she was able to tell which chest the ticket was in by the end, he would give it to her. So, watch the manager move the chests and help Evelyn win the ticket. The ticket is in this one. Before the show started, Evelyn and Edward went to the cafeteria to grab some snacks. Take a look at these 3 options. Which one should they get? Take a look at the date that's written on the potato chips package. According to it, the chips expired in 1980, so that's a pass. And take a look at the small note below the ice cream. It says it's earwax flavored. Nobody wants to taste that, so they should pick the popcorn. The gooey thing on top of it is just caramel sauce. The show finally began. The first performer was a magician, and his first trick, he teleported from the right side of the stage to the left side. But Evelyn saw right through his illusion and figured out how he did it immediately. Can you? Look behind this curtain. There is a portable projection machine. It sure has something to do with that. As the spooky show continued, Evelyn realized that something was off with some of the performers on the stage. She started suspecting that some of the circus members might not be human after all. Can you tell what made her think so? Take a look at the singer first. She has gills at the sides of her neck. Secondly, did you notice the yellow, long, sharp nails of the juggler? And lastly, the rope walker has a tail at the back. Once the show was finally over, the circus manager came to the stage and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, we've been lying to you. You see, we're actually creatures of the underworld and we came here to steal your souls. All the exits in our tent are magically sealed, so you can't escape. Only those who know our riddle correctly will be freed. I have a mouth, but I can't speak. I run, but I can't walk. What am I?" Can you help everyone escape? The answer is a river.